Hello and welcome. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm in charge of documentation at Alpha Software, and I'm joined today by Dion McCormick, Lead Solutions Engineer, and he is here to answer your questions and also give a fantastic presentation today on tabbed UI interfaces, specifically building them with the UX. Before we get into that, though, I would like to mention that next week we are going to talk about localization and building applications that support multiple languages. So if that is something that interests you, or if you know someone that might interest, definitely share that information with your colleagues and your friends, and send in those questions that you may have about that for next week before so we can address them. As always, we are here to answer your questions. So if at any time you have a question, go ahead and type it into the questions box of the GoToWebinar control panel. Or if you are wanting to send us something with more detail or want to ask a question later, you can always email them to us at guides@alphasoftware.com. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Dion. Dion, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. And that's going to be a great presentation. I can't wait myself. I've done some of that, but just to have a refresh would be the way to go.
Yeah,
Let's
so
see.
I'm
You'll have
excited
to
about it too.
make me the presenter.
Yep, there we go.
There we go. Okay.
And I can see your screen and I can hear you. So
There we
without further ado.
go. Okay. Oh, maybe zoomed in a little bit too much. There we go. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for taking time to visit with us this week. We have a fun demonstration. Actually, it came in from someone who sent us an email at guides@alphasoftware.com. So make sure to send those to us. It allows us to really prepare and do some cool demonstrations, etc. And so today we're going to focus on something that someone sent in on that. But before I get started on that, I wanted to make sure everybody understood that we have an incredible developers conference later this year, and it is now live. If you go to alphasoftware.com, DevCon 2020, and I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat there. You can go ahead. There's really good pricing on it right now, so it's a great event. I would say if you can get signed up sooner than later, and I think you'll really enjoy it. And we look forward to seeing everybody there. And so go ahead and you can go again to alphasoftware.com DevCon 2020 and do the sign up there. It has the information about what we'll be presenting, and we'll be giving more details on that as we move along and as we actually develop some of it. We have some of it already ready to go, but other parts of it we're going to fine tune because there are a lot of really cool new features that are going to be coming out very soon in the Alpha platform. And we're going to want to make sure that we cover those in our developers conference there. So that's there. But the other thing I want to do is just kind of talk about today. So one of the key things that we're going to focus on is a UI element today. Last week, we kind of covered some drag and drop file upload, which was the UI element, but wanted to kind of take it up the next level. We've been kind of working at individual little controls and other aspects, but we had an interesting conversation with one of our esteemed viewers who was saying, I've used the tabbed UI a lot and it's a very handy tool, but how can we kind of create our own tabbed UI using panel cards? And we want to go through that demonstration today because the beauty of that is that you have much more control over the environment. You can kind of tweak it the way you want it to, but also more importantly, it is a more responsive environment. It's something built for say a tablet interface or something along those lines. Whereas the Tab UI does a good job, but at a certain point, it kind of just can't. It's just not was never really built for a tablet interface. It was kind of more of a desktop web interface. So we're going to focus on that today, and we're going to do a really quick presentation. Well, not really quick, but we're going to do a presentation on how to build that. And then obviously we're here for your questions, both on that subject and any other subjects you might have. So make sure to go to your Q&A section or the questions section and put your questions in there. And my esteemed colleague, Sarah here will help me out in terms of keeping an eye on that and answering any and all that we can. If we can't, we always trying to get back to people. So we really do appreciate your questions. So with that in mind, I'm going to jump back into my development environment. And I'm going to build my tabbed UI. So again, as people have done before, we had our built-in tabbed UI builder. And again, a lot of navigation panels, etc. They a lot of, dashboards and other pieces were built, and it works great. And in fact, we've enhanced it over the last few releases to include like expanding menus on the left to make it a little more modern, and it accepts all of the modern styles. So it's really been handy. But today we're going to focus on building a UX to mimic that and kind of show you some of the techniques. So let's go ahead and click UX. Now, I could pick one of my defaults, but I want to start with a blank one. So let's go ahead and click OK. And we're going to start with a blank UX. So we have our controls, and the heart of it is going to be the panels. So I'm going over here on the left to my panel cards, and I'm going to go ahead and start by putting in a panel layout. And basically, I'm going to use panel cards and panel layouts, etc., to basically create my tabbed UI interface. And I'm going to start out with sort of a single or mono-focused application, then kind of also talk about how you can do more like the tabbed UI where you can have multiple tabs. So I'm going to start out with a panel layout. So that's my top level here. Now I could go ahead and put a panel header in here, which actually is a really handy way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and for now put a panel header in there, and I'm going to insert a control bar because that's going to be at the top of my panel, sort of the top, sort of what you would see in a tabbed UI, that top level there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and insert two panel cards. I'm going to start with a single panel card, and I'm going to insert that after. So remember, a panel layout will have two panel cards, or I'm sorry, can have more than one panel card in it, and they're going to be visible at the same time. So as I put these panel cards in here, they're both going to be visible on the screen. Now, to mimic my layout, what I want to do here is go to panel card number 1, and I'm going to go ahead and change the name because I want to kind of keep my naming, structured from the get-go, so it makes it easier for me to handle things. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to call this PC menu for panel card underscore menu. Okay, now I'm going to go here to panel card number 2, and I'm going to change that one to be PC underscore content, because this is going to be where we're going to hold content that we want to show inside of our interface. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And what we'll see is later on when you create Action JavaScript, it's much easier to know what these are. The naming really becomes in and has a handy capability. Now, super important here is that when you set up an initial panel layout and you insert panel cards into it, they essentially sort of divide up the space evenly. So it's just basically going to take the even, 50%, 50% for menu and content. So what I want to do is I want my menu to be kind of on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in here that the layout says it's going to say 15%. Thus, the menu on the left will take about 15% of the screen real estate, and then the content will expand for the balance of that. And it's really nice to be able to kind of control that. And depending on your menu size, you can kind of tweak that and adjust that as you see fit. So if we just kind of look at this right now, and this will take a moment to render, and you'll see we have our control bar up here. It's not been defined yet, but you'll notice I have my left area and my right area with this little line in between showing our areas for my menu panel card area and my content panel card. So a couple things I want to do is I'm going to make this, it's currently a mobile interface or a mobile style. So I'm going to go first to my properties, and I'm going to use a compact theme because I want to have it nice and tight. So it'll be a little bit more, look a little nicer there. Then the next thing I want to do is let's go ahead and modify our control bar. So you notice when we put it in there, it said control bar was not defined. So I'm going to go ahead and go into control bar, and I could go ahead and manually start creating items and layouts and stuff, but it has the ability to insert an existing template. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my control bar template, and this will just save me time. And then I can always go back in and tweak things and adjust it. In fact, I want to show you one key thing I would change with the current template. So I'm going to go ahead and click Insert Control Bar Template here. This will show a number of different templates that are available. And what I'd like to do is this one will be interesting. So I'll grab this drop-down menu style and click OK. And it's asking me this control bar, is it going to be in the header or the footer? And so in our case, it's the header, and that's where it's going to be located at. And I click OK. And it's asking me now, should I import the entire one or just parts of it? So if you don't want everything in the template, you don't have to bring it in. So I'm going to go ahead and import everything just to keep it out of the date or out of the box. So you'll notice that it includes a older technology currently called the disclosure button. We're going to come back and talk about that in a minute. And then we have a series of buttons. And then I have in my layout here, you'll see that I have a layout here and then menu. And again, I'm just using this right now just to get things started, just kind of show you how to do a tabbed UI. But I want to come back and cover using the new expanding menu in the control bar to actually do it the right way. So let's go ahead and click OK. So I'm going to save this. Let's go ahead and save this as tabbed UI underscore UX. And now go to my working preview. And in a moment, you'll see we're starting to see something looking a little bit more like a tabbed UI. You know, we have a top portion here. We have a menu section here that can do it. In fact, we really didn't have menus in tabbed UI, so this is even an improvement. But you know, this My App is over here. I kind of want to have it over here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go back into my control bar, and I'm going to go to my layout number 1. And you'll see I have my HTML, which is that little, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it here and add it here. So now what will happen is my HTML will be here. And do realize now that I have that over here, I can also include images and other things. So the control bar is very flexible in terms of the HTML you can put in there. So you can make it look really, really sharp. And the other thing that's nice about a control bar and why I like to use it in this interface is notice how clean it keeps my tabbed UI interface. Basically, I have one meta control with all this stuff into it. Because if you were to build a card up there, which you could do, or just start putting controls into the header, after a while, you may have 20, 30, 40, 50 controls up there, and it starts getting all very, very complicated. So I like to keep things kind of compartmentalized and simplified, and so the control bar is really handy. So we've got our control bar kind of set up. So now what we want to do is start focusing more on the actual tabbed UI interface, which is the menu and the content within there. So as we put here, we're going to put our menu on the left-hand side. And what's nice is we can use a built-in function or built-in capability called the expanding menu. So again, to get there, I went a little quick. I went into the data controls, and that's a cool thing because the expanding menu is a data control. Clicking more and selecting expanding menu. And I click OK. And I'll go main menu. I'm just going to call it that. You can call it anything you want from there. Excuse me. So now I have my main menu here. So I'm going to do a couple things. First, you'll see it's got a width and height. I want it to fill the container. So I want it to consume everything in this panel card so it looks really sharp and you don't have like strange edges or things along those there. So let's go ahead and we've got our menu in there, but there's nothing defined for it. It's sort of like a blank piece of paper. So we need to actually go in and start adding our menu items. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go ahead and use the menu data genie to create my menu. And you'll see I've got my menu generator, and we've gone over the expanded menu, but I'm just going to put in here home, item 1, item 2. Actually, let's call them function 1, function 2. And I'm going to actually do something kind of fun. I'm going to put a sub function A and sub function B. And it's sun, but in sub function. So I want to make it look a little interesting. Okay. So I've got my menu here. Those I could actually add icons. So let's go ahead and add an icon just so we can show you how sharp this looks. So I'm going to go, and I go in a little fast, sorry. I go to my home menu item. Over here, I can then select icon. I can go to SVG, and I can then find my home. I'm just type in home, and there's my home there. And I can go say maybe if my function 1 has another one. So I'll just go in here and just select a random one. Let's see, what would be, oh, I like that one. That's kind of interesting. Not a good one, but so now I've got my menu there. I've set it up. So I'm going to do a couple other things. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and let's take a look and see what it looks like out of the gate. So now if I go into my working preview, you're going to see it starts to look a little bit more like a tabbed UI. So you'll see over here, I have my menu. It does allow me to do open, close. It's got the little icons there. I'd probably want to change this color background color. So currently the color background is defaulted to kind of this color here. So to do that, I can go back into main menu. And you know what? Let's go ahead and let's select the menu color here. And so we can select something that's kind of closer to my green. I could get the exact text value, but I'll just go ahead and guess what that is. So now when I do my working preview, I can cover it. And so I can kind of tie it to my overall style. So it kind of matches. The color won't be perfect here, but it'll be a little bit more simpler. You can see this is a little brighter green than this darker green here. But you start getting a feel. Now this is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of wide here. So the reality is I need to go here to my panel card menu and play with this and say maybe 12% is better. So you can kind of play with that to get exactly what you want from there and adjust it from there. But as you can see, we already have the rudimentary basics for a tabbed UI. On the top, you have like a header area where you can put in images, other pieces. You have a nice menu structure over here. It uses a very slick, modern capability here. Now, the question is, okay, I've got that, but now how do I actually enable things to be shown? Well, that's the beauty. We can use Action JavaScript and built-in capabilities to do it. So let's say on function 1, I'm just going to open up a UX here to actually edit it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my UX builder here. I'm going to go to JavaScript Actions. I'm going to click Add New Action. And I'm going to call this load function 1, because the idea is I'm loading something into my tabbed UI interface. Okay, now I'm going to go into there and it's not defined, so I'm going to go ahead and click Add New Action. I'm going to go here and I'm going to select the Open a UX component and click OK. Now I'm there. It's going to ask me, well, great, you want to open a UX component. Which one do you want to open? So I'm just going to grab a random one in here. Let's see, what's a fun one that we did before? Let's try that confirmation message window. That was from a couple weeks ago. Okay. Now, you can use cached UX component, which is nice, especially when you want to reload things. It will make it much faster. You can, so all the standard capabilities are built into it. But the important thing I want to bring it down to here is the target. So defaults the target of where this UX will be open into a window. But let's actually put it into a panel. And that panel is going to be our PC content. So now what it's going to do is when we click on this, it's going to actually open that UX into my PC content. Now it's saying that right now the body can scroll. So it's saying, well, do you really, because your UX you may be building in can scroll also if it has a panel card in it. So it's saying, should I turn this off? And I usually default it. And then if I have a problem later on, I can just adjust it. So you can play with that. Okay, so we have our JavaScript action called load function 1. In fact, let's go ahead and add another action. We'll go load function 2. And I'll click OK. Go ahead and go in here, perform the same thing. And let's do something a little more interesting here. And it doesn't have to be, I can do a grid also. So for instance, if I want, right now I did, let me show you that real quick. If you are still using grids, you can use open a grid component and open a grid component, but I'm just focusing on UXs because you really should be moving towards UXs and lists, because of the new inline editing, it really makes these things. So I'll grab this one. This one, I don't know if it's interesting, but we'll go ahead and do so. And the most important thing here is in my target, I'm going to say panel, and I'm going to set it to PC content. Okay, so I've got my two functions here. Now, if I run this and click on my menu items, well, nothing's going to happen because I now need to wire up my menu to my JavaScript actions. So let's go through here, main menu. I'm going to go into my menu data genie, and I'll go to function 1. And let's say, and then what I'm going to do is you'll notice there is a on-click event. So I click on-click. I say JavaScript action, insert code to run it because I've already created my JavaScript action. I could go ahead and create the action and do it all here, by the way. If I tend to try and do it in this sort of sequence, but you can do it those way, any way you want. And I'll pick load function number 1. So now we've got that as it writes it. And I'm going to go here. Now function 2 is a menu, so I'm going to actually just go ahead and put it in my sub function here. I'm going to do the same thing I did before, basically say insert JavaScript code to run that. And notice all it's doing is saying run action load function 2, and I'm good to go. By the way, while I'm here, I want to go ahead and show you something kind of cool. You'll notice that when I build this menu, I can actually associate security groups. So another tabbed UI functionality, which is really nice, is when you have the menu on the left, you can say, well, for instance, in function number 2, if I have security groups, I can say maybe that's the administration function. So if that is, then only administrators can see that those set of functions, or they can see that part of the menu. And Alpha will automatically look at the person logged in, their security group, and show and hide. So we can duplicate that capability within the expanding menu. Very handy, very nice from that standpoint here. By the way, if you want to get fancy, you can also use other show hide expressions in both server side and client side. So for instance, let's say you had a session variable that said session dot, activity or is equal to edit mode. And you can take that and say, if we're in edit mode, and then go ahead and show these menu items here. If not, don't. So you can use a lot of really cool things to do this. Like for instance, security groups is tied to the security groups, but there's no reason why you couldn't do something like using the extended user information table to be able to say, store some data in there. And based on that data on the current user, that's not necessarily their security protocol, but something about them, then you can use that information here to show and hide menus from the person. So it's pretty handy. So a lot of talk in there, but let's go ahead and show you this in operation. So the cool thing, and again, this is why I call it monotasking, you'll see in a moment. So we have our menu here. So I'm going to go ahead and click function number 1, and you'll see, there it goes. There is my built-in UX. So it opened this other UX here. So this was one we demonstrated showing a confirmation method and all the piece from there. But now I'm going to go down here, and notice when I clicked here, it didn't trigger something because that's just purely expanding. I go here, you'll notice, we just put in another one. So this allows me to go, and then if I click back here, it reloads that other message or that other UX, go here, reload it here. And you can see if you use cached, it speeds up how fast. So the first load is going to take a little while, and then it's going to get faster and faster from there. So pretty darn handy. So you'll notice that I'm pretty close to having a tabbed UI. There's two things I want to talk about. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the first one, which is these menus right here. Like for instance, let's say you wanted to have logout and stuff. I want to show you the better method to do it. And then the other is in the tabbed UI as it exists now, you're not limited to a single function. Now this is kind of more, as I say, monotasking, where you're saying, okay, this is what you're working on here. And a lot of apps have gone that way because there's just less going on and it's more focused. But sometimes you may want to have multiple tabs available in your interface. So I want to show you how to do that. So first, let's look at this control bar here. Let's go back into the control bar. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete a bunch of stuff. I'm going to get rid of this menu here, and I'm going to get rid of this menu here, and I'm going to go over to my in here, and I'm going to go ahead and delete these things here. So as you can see, now I'm kind of back to just my HTML and there. Now I'm going to go to my items here, and again, I don't need all these items in here anymore. I can just delete those, and I probably would start from scratch, but I want to kind of get the ball rolling a little quicker. Sorry, this is exciting watching this part going. Okay, so add control bar, and here's our magic one, button drop down menu. That was recently added. We did a whole presentation on it. Super awesome. So I'm going to add that. Now I'm going to go in here to this menu definition, and it's very similar to me setting up the expanding menu. It's basically using the same technology. So I can go into the menu builder and I can say settings, log off. Once I've set that, I can add icons. So let's go ahead and do the log off icon. I think that will be nice there. Okay. And then let's also do settings. Settings is kind of fun. Okay. Now in here, notice we have the on-click event. So I'm not going to actually activate that now. I just want to show the menu, but you could then, when you click on it, then you could trigger, like for instance, XBasic callback. You could trigger opening up another UXN location. The sky's the limit in terms of what you can do. And you can also use security groups and show hide expression to manage how that drop-down menu will work. So certain people may have one menu, the other people may have another. You don't have to create two menus, you just do it there. So good stuff there. We'll go ahead, let's make a pointer icon. And now I'm gonna go, once I've defined my menu, I'm going to my layout here, gonna edit this, and I'm gonna add in my drop-down menu. And so it's saying a button. Oh, that's not very interesting. It's currently a button. So let's go back to my items here and notice my button layout. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a image only. And I'm going to go ahead and pick my icon. And for our purposes here, I'm going to grab a gear icon. But that said, you can use any kind of image like static text and stuff like that. You can make this look a lot nicer. So, but if we go back to layout now, you have this little button here instead of the other. So, or it has an image there. So it looks a little nicer. So I'm going to go back into working preview. And that's another reason the control bar is super flexible and it's data driven. So you can change information in it on the fly. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do. So notice we have our new control bar here. Yeah, it's not showing there. Did I set it up? Let's go back in. Let's go back to my items. Let's go ahead and just do expanding. I think, by the way, I think this was fixed in a I am running an older version on this particular. Yeah, I think on this version I was having a problem. But what will happen here is it's going to do that drop-down menu here, similar to what you have, but it's using the more modern technique. So I apologize if it doesn't work. It's something on my current version is not going. So I have to check on that and see why. Report that. But this allows you to create these very nice menus in there. Now, that covers the control bar aspect, although not as exciting at the ending, but I hope you get the idea from there. Now, the question is, I don't want to have just a single item opening up here. I want to actually have multiple items showing at one time. And the system can do that. So I'm going to go back in here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I have to do a little re-architecture work. So first, you'll notice I have a PC content right here. So instead of PC content, I'm going to go ahead and delete that here. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a panel navigator. And I'm going to call this PN content for panel navigator content. Okay, and I'm going to leave it empty. And you can see there's no warnings. That's all legitimate and good to go. Now you'll notice the panel navigator is currently set to carousel. That's the standard default behavior. But I'm going to go ahead and change it to tab band. So it's now called tab band, which simulates the tabbed UI kind of pane concept here. So I'm going to go ahead and click save, and I'm going to go ahead and run this just to show you what it looks like. And so far, no big changes as far as what it looks like. You're going to see, do I have one? Wow, maybe I need to put maybe I need to do a panel card in there. Let's do this just to make sure I don't have an issue here. Ooh, oh, there it is. I'm not patient. That's the problem. Okay, let's go ahead and maybe I don't need the panel card in there. Let's see if maybe I was re-rendering and I was just being impatient. Yep, I think you need one. Oh, maybe. Okay, so I guess you do need that. Okay, so I'll go in there, put there. Now, when I have this card in here, I'm going to change this card to be PC home. And this does, again, mimic the tabbed UI where you have that home page, the first thing shown there. Now, very important over here is that when we're using a panel navigator and the tab band function, over here, whatever the ID is what is going to be, well, I'll show you what the ID is going to be, the sort of pane title up top. So you'll see it's PC home. Well, that kind of looks dorky, although I like to call it PC home. So you can go over here and you can select the panel card, and over here you see it says display name. So I'll just say home. And now I'm going to save that and do a working preview. Okay, so now you have something a little nicer, home here. So now I can start, and inside this panel card, I could put like, whatever my home content would ever be, like, some stack text. You could put like, a dashboard, whatever you happen to do from there. Now what I'm going to do is what I want to have happen is when I open the UX, the other UXs, I don't want them to overlay this. I want them to add to this panel navigator. So to do that, all we need to do is go to JavaScript Actions, go to load function number 1, and remember we have our OpenUX component. So what we're going to do is instead of the target being a panel, we're going to do a dynamic panel. And it's asking you, well, you want to open that dynamic panel. Let's go to the panel navigator. And I'm going to call this function 1. So again, I changed it from panel to dynamic panel. And the navigator it's going to open in that navigator, and the name is function. And then there's some other things I can do. I can change the working message. I can say if the user can close that panel. Let's go ahead and let them do that. And let's click OK. So I need to do that for my second one. So now I'm going to go here and I'm going to set it to dynamic panel content, and we'll call this function 2 and also allow close panel. Okay. So basically everything else stayed the same, except I had to create kind of a new panel card issue. The menu is all the same, etc. And now we can go in, do my working preview. It's going to open up my home page automatically for me. Now I'm going to click here on function 1. And you'll notice, check it out. It added a second tab here and opened up my UX in here, and then all my functionality will work within it. Now I can go down here and click function 2, and notice function 2 opened up. And both of them are still alive. All 3 of these are still alive. And you'll notice it actually even feels a little bit more slick than the tabbed UI. It's a little bit more modern. And you can change all the HTML and CSS, but also notice I can close this and I can reopen it. So I have that functionality, and it brings focus to it there. And everything else works fine, just kind of boom, boom, boom. And so this allows you now a lot more control. And if we go ahead and let's go ahead and start this up. I'll do a full preview real quick, so bear with me, and then we'll open it up for questions. Notice you kind of have to think about your styling so you don't have like, 20 different colors. So, okay. Here we go. And this will take a moment. It's opening up inside my browser in my development environment. And once it's fully rendered, you will see we have our tabbed UX. And notice it gives you a nice working message, and it's an overlay message. You can modify that. And it's responsive in nature, so it behaves very nicely. It tries to get everything as it can, but you see it's not perfect, but gets pretty good stuff there. There's some other tricks you can employ to say, okay, when you get to a certain size, you can actually hide this card and put up a button to open it up over it. There's a bunch of really neat built-in tricks. Now, one other thing I like to show you about this, which is kind of cool, is the fact that it also works very well from a mobile standpoint. So I modified this to say it's a mobile control, and that just enables some stuff for previewing. It doesn't actually change much, but I'll open it up there. And realistically, this is not a phone interface, as you will see in a few moments, although it does actually do it. But what you're probably going to be looking at is probably using this as say an iPad Pro 4 horizontal. So now you can see an experience here, and I don't know why that isn't shown, but you can create this really nice iPad interface using a tabbed UI metaphor, and it is responsive. So it's kind of stretched itself out to take the full header, so it looks really solid and acts really solid. If you have a panel card down here at the bottom, you could also add that for kind of your footer text kind of scenario. It's really up to you. But all the other functions work, and it's touch enabled. So if you click touch, these things are going to show. And so it makes a very natural kind of scenario from there. So that's the ability to take and use the built-in panel card technology and panel layout, panel navigators, and turn it and rebuild your own it. And again, I apologize, my colors are all over the place, but if you make the colors consistent, you can make it look really quick, or you can make it look really nice too. Now, another thing that's cool is that, again, since this is all panel cards, for instance, I have these here. I could actually have two of these menus, and one menu only shows the icon versus the text. So I could actually even shrink this down to maybe 40, 50 pixels width, so I maximize the area on the screen. And that can actually be dynamic. So there's so much fun things you can do with this to really create a really, for better word, just a phenomenal user interface. And it's nice. It works really nice and works as well as the tabbed UI. And in fact, is more responsive. And you can use all the panel card tricks to say, oh, if I'm in vertical mode, let's say I'm in vertical mode, then maybe like, oh, I'm sorry, iPhone there. Maybe I make these just icons instead of, with letters. But if I go horizontal, then I say, oh, I've got plenty of space. So I'm going to show these because I've got plenty of space there so you can play with it. So that I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions now. Or if we don't have any questions on this, we can work on something else. But that's panel cards, panel layouts, and panel navigators to build a tabbed UI interface.
Okay, thank you, Dion. We do have quite a few questions today. One question that's come up, and quite a few people have asked us, is that the tabbed UI component has an integrated login, logout feature, and the question is, how would you do that in the UX?
The cool thing is you can do it. Yeah, that's a great question. We appreciate that. First and foremost, and let me go ahead and security. We can actually go down, and UXs have an integrated login functionality. So you can actually mimic that. And the cool thing about it is that you can detect. So for instance, one of the things about the tabbed UI is like when you go there and you're not logged in, you have a little menu thing up at the top. Well, what you can do is in this case on it, you could actually add a sort of login page. So what you can do is go here, and I'm going to take this panel layout here, and I'm going to go panel navigator. And here I'm going to go ahead and put a panel card after. Now I'm going to go here to the panel card and I'm going to say PC login. And here, I wonder, are those divine? There's a built-in login, logout function now here. So now when you launch the app, this I like better than the tabbed UI. You can have a nice login screen. So let's get rid of the mobile for now and we'll just go there. And in fact, let's make this a little more interesting. Let's go to other controls, image. I'm going to add an image in there. And let's see, I wonder if I have one in my cool image there. Just thinking if I have a pre-built. Oh, let's try that one. And let's say the image style is width is, sorry, I'm going low. Then let me go ahead and just see if I can get this. Let's say it's 300 pixels or 300 there. Okay. So we'll do a work and breathe. So when you launch the UX, it's going to show you the first panel card because it's a panel navigator. And so now I can click login and I can use that built in. And once I've logged in, I can then navigate to my other. So I'm going to put in a fake login. Let's put another button here, call it fake. So the idea is when you click login and on the, I think it's the server sim on login, you can go here and then just do a panel set active to that second panel. And then when you do log out, you can force them to go back to this login screen here. But for now, I'm just going to go go ahead and cancel that. Go to fake login, add a new line. panel. And we want to go to panel layout number 1. So I go in here, this is what I'm going to hit when I hit that thing. Right now I can swipe this, but what I would do is say this is programmatic. So I'd go here and say this is not carousel, but it's programmatic, which means the only way you're going to get to this layout here is that if you, from a programmer standpoint, allow the person to navigate to that page. They can't swipe or do anything like that. So I can do my fake login and boom, now I'm in. And then up here, maybe I would add a logout that would emit the UX logout function and take you, and I think it will actually you can put in JavaScript that says on logout, perform this JavaScript. And when you do, then it would take you back to the login screen and you're good to go. So if anything, I like this better because now you can create a very nice login experience for the person. For instance, I can go here, take all this stuff here. I can put in a container and do an alignment container. I can make that container 100%. So it just looks more professional than, the other one kind of, you see some of the tabbed UI. You could, if you wanted to, for instance, put some of this login stuff right here on this PC home. And then after that's done, but I kind of like this just because it's more of a traditional kind of structure on how it goes there. But personal preference, but you can use the built-in, the key is built into it is the integrated login functionality. And in here, you put in what is the username, password control, the placeholder for errors, etc. And then you also have, and I'll turn that off for now, you also have, then on login, you can do things like set up their session variables, etc. And then you can also tell it now, go to your second panel layout where they can then interact with what would be considered a tabbed UI. So and then you'd have a logout to do it there. Great question.
Thank you, Dion. Yeah, that was a really good question. Let's see here. We have a couple others. One person asked if you can link the cards for a parent-child usage, like with a grid, where you can open up like a sub grid that's linked to the parent grid and another tabbed. How would you do that here?
Well, I would move towards using list controls because in list control, see, the issue is with the grid component, you can create two types of grid components. One is called a linked grid and the other is called a row expander grid. But the reality is they're all being presented within a same little area. So it's all going to be within a single panel card. If you actually want to split them into two panel cards, then you would have to create two separate grids and then add in some of your own JavaScript, your own scripting to link them and make them together. But the cool thing is if you want to create, let me see if I can create an example of that. If I go to UX, if you use list controls, the neat thing about the list controls is it allows you to basically, you can have parent-child lists. So we can go to list 1, list 2, go into list 1, and then set it from there. And the cool thing is these lists now can populate, they can be in anywhere on the UX. So they can be in a completely separate panel card. That panel card could be docked so you don't see it. So there's some really cool things you can do from there. But I would look at using parent-child lists, especially now that you have the inline editing capabilities, and also you can use detail views, etc. And what's nice about it is that in the list controls, when you create the relationships of the data source, you can also have parent list. So it will automatically, if you click a row in the top level list, the second list you would enable this parent list and it would automatically trigger the filtering of that second list so that you mimic that kind of parent-child grid functionality. But the challenge with the grids is you could use the nice thing about grids is you can have row expander or a link grid, but it's all kind of contained in the same spot on the user interface. You really can't break. You can play some games with divs and stuff, but you really can't put them in two separate panel cards. With lists, you can have complete flexibility in terms of where you put those on your user interface. Pretty handy.
Thank you. Um,
You are welcome.
Yeah, so we have a wide variety of questions on this topic today.
Well, if we can't get
Um,
them today, we're going to queue them up. We need to save those so we can queue them up for our next webinars.
oh, for sure. There is a question here. There's two that I want to tackle because they're super easy. The first one being, is the tabbed UI component going away? No, it's not.
No, it
It's
is
here
not.
forever. No plans at all to get rid of that. So you're fine. Keep using it if you're using it and you don't want to try this one out. And then the other one is there a central location where all of these demos are? And in the sense, yeah, because they're all on Dion's computer. But if anybody would like a copy of today's component, please send an email to guides@alphasoftware.com. We can certainly send that to you. And
But we
this
do
is something
store
that
all the
gets asked a
Q&A.
lot.
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
store events and webinars. So I'm going to theirs, and that's the event.
Are you looking
Um,
for the videos?
yeah, I'm sorry. That's it's the video library.
Oh, you're looking
And
for
so this
the
is,
YouTube is where we keep that nice playlist of the demo
oh,
and
okay.
Q&As. Yeah.
And then you have to go there.
On our Alpha Software YouTube channel, we do have a playlist where all the demo and Q&As are queued up, and sometimes if we decide to make it available, sometimes we'll
There we
link
go.
in a component download there as well. It doesn't happen very often, though. As time marches forward, I feel like this maybe is something we could consider in the future of providing a sort of a central place to get all this stuff. So
Yeah. And we're
something
working
we're
more and
talking
more to,
about.
make them searchable, et cetera. But
Yeah.
nice thing is they're available. And you can go right there. Again, it's go ahead and see. I'll paste that into the chat window and you can try that out. Bookmark that. Subscribe. And you'll get notified
Definitely.
when these things happen too.
Subscribe and get the notifications.
Exactly. And we do post
Yeah,
them and put them up there. So
we
pretty
do.
handy.
Yep. So then back to back to the tabbed UI
Yeah, of
UX
course.
view.
Yeah.
The next couple ones are more geared towards that look and the feel. And then
Yes.
also just a question like what happens, we'll start with this one. What happens if you open more tabs than will fit on the screen?
Oh, that's a good question. I have not tried that. I will have to look at that and see.
Okay. So something to maybe come back to in the future. And then some people ask, couldn't you do a minimum width in pixels as opposed to specifying a percent on the width of that menu panel card?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You could do, yeah, you have to just adjust the fact that you have to kind of know how wide your menu is going to be. And that's a little bit of trial and error. If you're going to have really long. Oh, and I'm glad someone asked that. That's a really good question because it triggered another thought in my head. So absolutely, when you're here, you can go to your PC menu here and use any kind of layout size here. But you can also dock it, meaning you don't have to have it permanently shown. So let me go ahead and show that. So I'm going to do a collapse before. So now this thing is docked. So it's going to be hidden when you're first shown. I'm going to go into the panel now, the control bar, and I'm going to go ahead and just add a control bar item, which is menu. And I'm going to make it HTML. And oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me do this. I want a button, and I'm going to call it menu. And I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be a image only. I'm going to go to icon, select the hamburger menu. I think it's list. I can never find it. Do you know what the filter name is? Where is it?
Oh, it's the three
There it is.
lines?
Yeah, the three
That's
line one.
yeah, it's a little bit further up. You scrolled right by it.
Yeah, we
Keep
use it
going up.
enough.
Keep going up.
There's the
It's
dot
way up at
one,
the top.
probably in the first row. I just
There it
kind of,
is. It's the fourth row, third from the right.
there we go. Okay. So there, now what I'm going to do is it's already created the menu on click. So I'm going to go to the actions. This is my menu on click, and notice it's saying it's not there. So to make life easier, I'm just going to go insert, or I'm going to go action JavaScript. I'm going to create this. I'm going to go show our menu show. And in here, I'm just going to do a panel set active panel to be PC menu. So all I'm doing is saying, okay, when this thing's triggered, show my menu, which in the case of a doc, it will bring it in Vision. Now what I can do is insert the JavaScript code to run that here. So now when the person clicks on this menu item, now I have to do one other thing. Need to go to control bar layout, go in here. I'm going to move this, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to add it over here. So now it's in the center. And again, this is why it's nice. You can end there. Okay, so basically now my menu's on the left, my in the middle is my HTML, and the right is the drop-down menu, which I'll have to figure out why that didn't work because I like that to work. So now if I go ahead and do a working preview, now remember we've added our login, so we'll have to go through that first. Okay, so I fake login. So now you'll notice my menu is not here, but my home page would show. So if I have content there, but now if I click there and click there, now it's going to load up my item there. And notice the menu went away. And I can go ahead and do everything I want from here. Pretty cool. So now I preserve even more screen real estate, and this can be as wide as I need it to be. You know, I don't have to worry about, I'm trying to make it as small as I can. I can have a lot of functionality there, and everything else kind of works. But now you have all the screen real estate to actually use, especially on a tablet where you don't want to give up any screen real estate you can in this. Now, the other part of it too is that this is a control bar. So you could actually set rules to say, show this like in this mode or show this in this mode. So if you're like on a desktop, maybe you want to have this permanently showing, but maybe on a smaller screen you want to do there, you can use those kind of techniques to control the user interface behavior with the person. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that the main menu here, we used a menu data genie, but you can also, it is data driven. You can actually load your menus dynamically. And there's a bunch of examples that go through, and we've actually done some demos before. So the idea is you don't have to hard code that menu at all. You could literally have it on the fly when the person logs in, generate that menu and show it so it's personalized just to that person's situation, which could be very powerful. It's data driven and it can be updated at any time. So that's really cool. Something you absolutely can't do with a tabbed UI is you can't on the fly adjust the menu other than who I am, my security protocol. So you can use almost 3 levels of control over that menu. You can set it up with security, like I get to see this if I'm this user role or group. You can also set it up with server side show hide, or you can just literally create the menu on the fly using XBasic and JavaScript and JSON here. And again, if you want to see what it should look like, you just handle all this stuff here. In fact, if you guys are, so we'll show it another time, but that's the cool thing there. So you have now the ability not only to, show and hide that left panel, even not even shrinking it, you can make it do anything you want. Like if I don't like that menu on there, I'm going to make it over on the right. So I'm going to make it after. I want my menu, instead of coming up over on the left, which who knows, fake login, menu, now it's over here. And try that with a tabbed UI. It's not going to be very easy. So you have all more control. And that's why we're showing it to you, because we're starting to internally use this concept more and more just to make our interfaces more flexible. And we want to share it with the developer community.
All right.
Okay.
There's one more. This has to do with actually styling those tabs to make them look like tabs. And the question is, how would I do that? And the thing, I don't know if you know this, Dion, you probably do, but on that tabbed panel navigator,
Yeah.
it's actually one of the few controls that has 2 places where you can set the subtheme. You can set the subtheme for the entire panel navigator, and you can also set one for the tab band if it's been configured to display as a tab.
Oh,
layout.
yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta go
your
here.
second one.
I'm on the wrong one. There it is.
Yeah,
So
that
we
one
have
right
the
there. So you have
subtheme.
subtheme, and you also have tab band subtheme. So this will be your just the general panel header and body stuff, but the tab band one actually controls the styling for those tabs.
So
and
there's
right now
one
we only have
base one.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So you could
that's
go
where
in
you
and
would go to
restyle
make
that.
your subthemes to change how those look.
I just wanted to see, I changed the to all. I wonder what that looks like. Look, I was going to go over there. Yeah, not much change.
Not much.
So, yeah. So, yeah, so, but you can control any of the HTML, CSS by using those sub-theme concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Great
Yeah.
questions. Appreciate them.
All right. And then
Uh-huh.
the final question today is actually that the has to do with the old tab UI component.
Uh-huh.
And they asked, how do you get rid of the sidebar and make it go away? So it's
Oh,
not.
okay. Let me see if I've got one in here. Let's see, find I'm trying to find one that already exists. Ah, good. Okay. So when you're in the tabbed UI properties over here, you can go down and you'll notice you can, do some element of there. And the question is, can collapse button pane and also the initial state of it. So right now, when I do my working preview, you'll see it's open, but I can say, you know what? I want that to be closed and it's closed, but I can then still expand it and open it from there. And then you could auto hide it too, which is kind of cool there. So let's make this open. So it'll close there, but if I hover over it, it opens it up. That's kind of always been kind of a neat feature. Problem is when you're doing stuff, you tend to hit it and all of a sudden everything moves. So what happens is this looks cool, but when you actually implement it, people start hating it very, very quickly. But you could have, delay and other things there. And you can also permanently hide it. So if you don't want that shown at all, oops, did I not say that? Permanently hide the buttons pane. There must be something off there. But you can hide it so it doesn't even exist. And then you can use buttons and other commands to open up tabs without using a left navigation bar. There's built-in, basically you can add a button to my first page here. Oh, I'd have to load up initial piece there. You'd open up the initial UX, and in that UX you could have buttons. And when you click on a button, it could say open this UX or open this grid as a tab pane, and it would open up as a separate tab pane. So you don't even need to use the left-hand component or the left-hand navigation if you don't want it. I'm not sure why that didn't. Then you must set the for the objects that you want to see. So there's a little adjust there, but that's how you would set those up and do it from there. And this allows you to do it. And you can change like the panel location. You can change the style of stuff. So there's a lot of flexibility here. But again, remember, this is not truly responsive. And at a certain point, you're just going to run into roadblocks in terms of making it work the way. And it's a heavier component. There's a lot in this thing. Panel navigators, panel layouts, those things are just small little snippets. So they're actually pretty fast in rendering and showing the information.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
think that answers that
remember,
question.
we'll look any other questions. We'll grab those. In the meantime, remember, Sarah's going to be doing an amazing presentation on languages, how to customize the user interfaces dynamically with language information, which is super powerful, especially if you're in Canada and trying to do business in Quebec. Very, very important.
Yeah,
So,
Canada is actually one of the countries that requires your software be developed in 2 languages.
so anybody in Canada better be here,
Ship there.
uh, which they're already done it, so they know that piece there. But wanted to say thank you everybody for joining us. Great job, Sarah. I appreciate it. Dave will be back next week. He's actually taking a much needed sabbatical for this week. I guess it's not a sabbatical, but it's just time off. We miss him, and I'm sure you guys miss him too. Sarah, thank you so much for all your help.
Thank you too, Dion, for doing today's presentation. And just as a reminder, for those of you, if we didn't get to your question today, or if you would like a copy of the component that Dion built today, send us an email at guides@alphasoftware.com. Just tell us that you would like us to send you the component for today's webinar. We'll know that you mean today because the date will be in your email. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, if you didn't notice, Dave is not here, and
Dave's
in
not
theory
here,
he'll be
man.
back next week. And if he's not, we'll have a webinar anyway.
That's a way to think positive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.